Construction has been going on for almost a year at the Sellwood Bridge in Portland, Oregon. A new bridge will be built by the year 2016 to span the Willamette River and replace the old Sellwood Bridge. Building a new bridge is not simply a matter of replacing the old one. First, a temporary bridge must be built to convey traffic during construction of the new bridge, and a work bridge, built in two sections extending from each riverbank, will provide workers with access to the new bridge as they build it. In this slideshow, the 8th in this series, you'll see several new piers, also called bents, built in recent months for the temporary bridge, and you'll see the beginnings of the work bridge. To show how quickly this work has been changing the landscape throughout the year, we'll also take a few glances back at what this area looked like about a year ago. This photo was taken in November 2011. From the east bank of the Willamette, standing slightly north of the old Sellwood Bridge, piers 18, 19, and 20 are visible in the river. This photo was taken in October 2012 from roughly the same location, and you can see the new Pier 18 built for the temporary bridge and numerous piles which will be part of the work bridge. Most of the work bridge will be located south of where the Sellwood Bridge now stands. An impact hammer was used to drive the work bridge piles into the riverbed. Here, a welder stands in a cage hung from a crane and trims extra height off of a work bridge pile. In November 2011, this townhouse still stood just north of the bridge on the east side of the river. In November of 2012, the townhouse just shown had been removed to make space for several piers which have been built to support the roadway that will connect Southeast Tacoma Street to the temporary bridge. During October and November, steel beams were installed between East Approach Piers 1 and 2. Precast concrete panels were placed on the steel beams. These will form the driving surface for this portion of the temporary bridge. Here's a view of the steel beams from up above. This was Pier 17 at the east end of the old Sellwood Bridge in November last year. By the end of October of this year, piles were installed, and in early November a footing was built, and now temporary bridge Pier 17 stands beside Pier 17 of the old bridge. Here's a peaceful view from the west bank of the Willamette River in November of 2011. Almost a year later, there are cranes, piles, piers, fenders, barges, and more. On land, the contrast is also striking. This photo was taken in 2011. This was early October 2012. In recent months, several piers have been built to support the approach from Southwest Macadam Avenue to the temporary bridge. West Approach Pier 2 is in the exit lobe just beyond the bridge. Until recently, you could walk or bike through this area, and now pedestrians and bikes must circle around the exit ramp. This is West Approach 2 with some of the steel beams that will form the roadway onto the temporary bridge, and these are some of the precast concrete panels that will form the driving surface of that roadway. Additional beams have been installed since these photos were taken. Here's West Approach 3 in early October, and here's the same pier a couple of weeks later, almost ready for installation of the steel beams that will form the approach to the temporary bridge. These are West Approach Piers 4 and 5. West Approach Pier 6 started off fairly tall in comparison with nearby trees. Here it is several weeks later. Pier 21 is on the west side of the river closest to the water's edge. Pier 21 is much shorter than West Approach Pier 6 right next to it. It also has these translation beams connecting it with the old bridge. Here's why. In this photo from July, you can see that one end of the truss of the old Sellwood Bridge sits on this pier. When the truss is shifted onto the temporary bridge piers later in the project, this end will sit on the short new pier just shown. The approach piers are much taller, since they will hold up the roadway passing over the truss. This slideshow is the 8th in a series about the construction of the new Sellwood Bridge. For earlier slideshows, please visit www.sitespecificmedia.blogspot.com. For more information on the Sellwood Bridge project in general, please visit www.sellwoodbridge.org.